Welcome to Her Story of Success, a podcast sharing stories from influential women trailblazers and business leaders who have defined and pursued their own versions of success and fulfillment. We hope these stories, lessons learned, and celebrations inspire you to believe in yourself and enjoy your own journey a little bit more. I'm Leah Glover Hayes, your host and CEO of Her Story of Success Women's Business Collective. Today, I'm excited to be interviewing Kate Kimmerle, the founder of Miss Spa, which was the first company to bring sheet masks into the U.S. beauty market. I have been a fan of Miss Spa's face mask for years, and the more I've learned about Kate and her amazing mission and passion for helping women succeed, the more I've fallen in love with the brand. In this video, Kate gives us a behind-the-scenes look at Miss Spa's success, the lessons learned of bringing products to market too soon, and the power of relationships as you build a business. She also offers some great advice for other working moms out there. And she's going to give us a sneak peek of Miss Spa's newest products from her Sculpt line, which they launched at the start of this year as an entire skincare line. I'm so excited. Kate was generous enough to send me some of her new products, and I think they're all incredible. My personal favorite are the reusable patches and the LED light therapy with Hydrate and Restore Serum, so check it out. I always love learning from other women business owners that have achieved what I'm reaching for, financial success as well as a loving home life. Share this episode with your tribe of working moms for some inspiration this week, and I hope you enjoy the conversation with Kate Kimmerle. Well, welcome, Kate Kimmerle, to Her Story of Success. I am absolutely thrilled and excited to have you with me today again, but for the first time.
Well, I'm excited to be here. That's great to see you.
Absolutely. So for you listening, what happened was I interviewed Kate a few months ago and the recording did not work. So she is so wonderful and gracious and generous that she came on Her Story of Success again so that we could release it to you. So thank you, Kate, for giving me your time twice.
Absolutely. We're going to make it even better this time.
Yes, I love it. Well, we have so much to cover because I'm a fangirl of you for a few reasons. Number one, you are an amazing woman business owner with a family. You're doing all the things and you do it with such grace and joy and love, and you own your own company. And also you have an incredible set of products that I used and was a customer of before I ever knew that you owned the company. So it's Miss Spa. I'm going to hold up some fun things because you have a new line out that I have been able to use that I'm so excited to share with everyone. So I want to talk about you being a businesswoman, creating products, how to go through that, and just how you've seen like business strategy and business marketing and all of those things change since you started your company, and then especially since 2020. I kind of want to start, I don't know if we even did this last time. I want to start with, let's go way back. I want people to get a little bit of a feeling of who you are as a person. So you own a beauty company, and it wasn't like you just started it when you were 40 because you were already successful. You've been passionate about this for a long time. And so I'd really love for you to take us back to the beginning. Like, what were you like as a child that led you to have your own beauty company? What were you like as a little girl?
Completely beauty obsessed. I would say fashion and beauty obsessed to the point where I wanted to be a hairdresser and my parents would not let me. And I was devastated, absolutely devastated. I was putting makeup on my two younger sisters constantly. I think I was the first of all of my friends that had the Barbie head with the hair and the makeup
model
that you could put on it. Mm-hmm. So Barbie was that was my first foray into kind of getting makeup and hair and doing that. And then I started experimenting on friends. And I was the one who subscribed to Vogue when I was like 14. I was just very into fashion, beauty, all of it. And even when I first got into the industry, there were more opportunities in fashion at that point. than anything else. So, I studied fashion merchandising, I studied fashion design. That just kind of seemed like the track that I was going to end up on. But quickly I realized I really just had a love and a knack for product in general and marketing and trying to put together sort of the whole supply chain of like, what is it? How do you go from ideation and having this like amazing concept, and then how does that actually result in a physical product? So that became kind of more my obsession, was really kind of um, tapping into the creative side. I never thought I was a creative person. I thought I was a business person up until like maybe a few years ago. But I love to like sketch. My sister is an amazing artist, and she can like legitimately paint and sketch and do all sorts of stuff. But I'm certainly not that. But I'm able to kind of sketch out, certainly in my mind, and then on paper, what I want and what that would look like. And so that's
I love
kind of
it.
how it all started.
I do want to dive into that a little bit more, because I think that's not the scary, but like the unknown part of like, oh, I have this idea, and then, but how does that go from an idea to reality? So share with us a little bit about what were you doing in your career when you decided, I think I can do this, and taking that step. What did that look like?
That's a great question, because I can tell you exactly when that happened. And it was really when I was, working for several different types of companies, and I was always actively involved in sales. I'm a big believer in relationships with customers, and some of my customers are some of my best friends or have become my best friends. And so for me, it was really about the collaboration that happened between us, and being able to collaborate on products, and kind of figuring out how, and working together to take something from just an idea or just a concept to an actual product. And I quickly became obsessed with one of the companies I worked for. I think I mentioned this to you before, but I've always worked for women owned and led companies, which is sort of odd. So, like, I had, several jobs before I started my business in 2000, and all of them involved some sort of women mentor, which is really kind of incredible to think about. And several of them I still stay in touch with. So, that was also a big piece of it, is I was inspired by them because they also had that balance of creativity and business, sort of in their toolkit. They were able to do that, and they trusted me. And so I found myself working with customers, develop these relationships, collaborating, and it would eventually turn into customization or some sort of product creation. So that was really how it all started. I worked at a stationery and gift company, and we did a lot of custom products with companies like Crate and Barrel.
Oh,
That was
cool.
a perfect example. And same thing, I had a great relationship with the person I worked with there. She was amazing. And she's like, can you do something like this? And even if it was just tweaking the packaging, I think, everybody is looking to put their own special stamp on something, whether it's a
Yes.
retailer, whether it's a brand. And right, you want to always have that point of difference. And so that was really what I kind of clued into, and started working diligently at creating that. And then when I started my company, it was really, I had the experience of seeing how products were made. I had enough experience in the manufacturing side. I had enough experience on the sales and marketing side. And so I was able to finally kind of put it all together in 2000 in a way that made sense and made it a true business.
I love that. And what I'm hearing is that you did a lot of things and tried a lot of things before you started your own business. And what I'm hearing is like that breadth of experience really helped you when you were starting your own company, because you had a lot of different viewpoints of the process, right, from start to finish. I interviewed the chief people officer of Forrester. It's a marketing and research company outside of Cambridge, Massachusetts, and that's what she said. So she actually started out in sales, and she did a lot of different jobs before she became an executive, because she's like, I needed to see and experience all of that. So when you're in that place of leadership, you have a good viewpoint, and you have some understanding of the processes that your people are going through, right?
100%. I
Yeah.
think that's huge. And I also think like having the opportunity to work at smaller entrepreneurial companies allow you to wear many different hats. So
Mm-hmm.
you could be sitting with the sourcing department while they're, on the phone or emailing with Asia. You could be sitting with the marketing department. You can be in design. You could be with the creative team, product development team, or whatever it is. And like little nuggets of information coming from all of those kind of different areas and then pulling it all together is definitely what made me successful with where I am now.
I love that. And I know that we've talked about kind of mentorship and you love mentoring women business owners. And one of the things I wanted to talk about a little bit is kind of both sides. Like I want to talk to the entrepreneur for a minute and let you mentor her that's listening. But I also want to talk about the people that have come alongside you, because no one can do this alone. And like from my business partner has no desire to start her own company, but she has a superpower and a passion for helping bring vision to life. So I want you to kind of give some guidance for both of those people. If both of them are listening, the person that it has the vision and wants to bring it to life, and then the person that wants to bring someone else's vision to life, maybe just some guidance that you have that you've learned along your journey that you could share.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that the people that support the vision or help grow the vision are probably more important sometimes than the visionary themselves. I mean, if I
Yes.
didn't have that team, I don't know, like I'd be all over the place. Like, I'm like, I've got all these ideas. And, I think having, as an entrepreneur, having a team that can kind of like go through, cull your ideas and take them to the next level. Cause like for many entrepreneurs, I think we're sort of at our worst when we're trying to do it all, right?
Yes.
And
Thank you for saying
unfortunately,
that.
at the beginning, yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily a good thing. And so, but I think at the beginning, we all have to, right? So we're wearing a lot of hats, we're figuring stuff out, and getting to the point of being able to bring people on board who maybe wouldn't even want to start their own business, but they're sort of like what do you call it? Like the power behind the throne, as they say, or something, where like we would be completely ineffective without having these people. And so, the team that I have allows me to do the things that I do best, which is, be the visionary and problem solve and negotiate and, do a lot of the things that, I'm the risk taker. Most of these people want a job and they want to know that they've got, a paycheck that they can rely on every week. And that's huge. And at the same time, I'm the one that's going to run out there and take the risk and do all the crazy stuff necessary in order to make sure that that happens while making sure that they're all protected as well. I mean, it's a two-way street. You don't want to be the crazy entrepreneur who's running around recklessly. Because to me, I do this for my team. It's not like, it's not all about me at all. It's really a team effort.
What are some of the things that you did when you were building your team or what is it that you knew that you were looking for? How did you find the right people to bring in?
I hired a lot of people that I worked with in the past. And a
Ah,
lot of people do not subscribe to this management theory of, bring in friends and, bring in potentially customers. But, my team is comprised of primarily, a lot of women that have worked for me for a really, really long time. And in the case of at least a handful, we've worked together in a past life.
mm,
So when I was trying to grow sales, and who did I go to but the woman that I worked for and who sort of mentored me and helped me kind of raise up. And she was always like my big sister, and now she's the president of the company and running things. So that part to me is really great. I also have like one of my former customers who I started the business with has been my right hand. She's now, really kind of general manager of the business and handles HR. But she said to me, it's funny because we were both pregnant with our now 16-year-old teenagers at the time. And she was a buyer in the beauty. And she said to me, when these kids, she ended up being pregnant with twins,
oh my
go into
God.
kindergarten. I know, which was like, thankfully that wasn't me. But she said, when these kids are in kindergarten, I'm coming to work for you because you need
Ah.
help and I can help you. And as long as you're flexible with everything and I can take care of them, it's what I want to do. And here she is, 17 years later, however many.
I love
It's
it.
crazy.
I love
Yeah.
that because I think so often what gets glorified is that person, the young person that started a business at 20 and, skyrocketed and has $1 billion valuation. And that is amazing. Like, that is so incredible. I'm not discounting that for 1 second, because those people should be commended. But that's why I was excited to talk to you. I get so inspired. You didn't start this like when you were 20. I mean, you did start it, you were fairly young, but you had people that you worked with before to even bring on. That means that you had some experience and you were a little bit, wiser. And I love that you also are empowering women along the journey. So I want to talk a little bit about your company. So when you decided to start a company, it wasn't just, oh, I want to have an awesome product. You did, but what were the things that were important to you when you were building that foundation and you were starting to grow and have employees and have a culture? What were the things that you said, this is what's important for the foundation of my company, that people are going to feel this way, they're going to act this way? Like, what did that look like for Miss Spa? And you have a couple of companies and there are a lot of products. So tell us a little bit about what that what the base company is and the foundation for that.
Yeah, so the base company is called Snap Products, and Snap Products was originally founded as a private label marketing company. So we basically developed custom products for all the large retailers in the US. And what that looked like was, we would be working on beauty products, and then maybe one of the buyers would switch desks and start being in charge of apparel. So they'd come to us and want us to do apparel. So at one point, we had not only a beauty personal care side to the business, but we also had a general merchandise side, which meant we did cut and sew apparel. We did flip-flops and sandals. I mean, anything that was on trend. And I think that was one of the biggest things, is I wanted to create a culture of really fun. I wanted everybody to move fast, which is what Snap was all about. And I wanted to be ahead of the trend. I didn't care what it took, but I wanted to be the first person at the table and sometimes we were too far ahead of the trends, right? We'd have something that, I'd seen in another country or somewhere else, and like, oh, we've got to bring this. And it was too soon. And that's really the birth of Miss Spa and the facial sheet masks. Is I had started seeing those with all my travels in Asia and had never seen them in the United States. And I was determined to be the one to bring them to the United States. So that's how that business of customization on product and working with retailers ultimately led us into the branded side with Miss Spa. And now we have M Skincare and our Naturals brand as well. So it really started out as being just sort of a generalist. And I think that happens a lot in business, right? You start out as a generalist and then you sort of, narrow the focus. And it became really clear to me that being on the private label side and doing custom stuff for other people was not necessarily the way to grow the business, because as the business grew, I became more focused on, being able to scale it. Is it stable? Is it scalable? All those different things, to be able to, as I added more and more people, to make sure that base and the foundation was really solid.
I love that. So what are some of those core values that you looked at as you were growing your business?
Well, definitely trust. I mean, that speaks to, the hiring many people that I knew, but also with our customers. My whole thing has always been, you can trust everything that I like. If I tell you something, it's as good as done. I mean, so many of the deals that we made early on, we had no contracts at the time or agreements. And we would do these handshake deals that were, really significant. So, I think that's the foundation. I think one of the things I value so much is resourcefulness. Like
Yes.
I value resourcefulness over just about anything. If somebody can get out and make things happen and comes prepared with solutions and is able to problem solve as opposed to bringing problems, that's always somebody that I'm interested in working with and having on the team.
Absolutely. As a leader or a business owner, having someone that comes to you with ideas that you didn't even think of and they like figured something out, you're like, oh my gosh, it gives you so much peace of mind to know like, oh, I can trust you if I ask you for something. if you don't know, you're going to try to figure it out before you come back to me and ask me 5 more questions.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, that
It's
is
the
amazing.
best
It really
ever.
is." Yes.
Well, and you're right on when you said it feeds into the trust. So for me, core values, like I always look at, when I walk into a company or whatever, and I see that these are our core values on the wall. And it's like, it's interesting. To me, core values all are more circular than they are a list, because I think they all sort of have to feed off each other. So like accountability, resourcefulness, trust, collaboration, like that to me is like, I would say our team works as a team. I mean, and I take my own accountability and put it at the top. I mean, I feel like, if something needs to happen and if I can't roll up my sleeves and get it done, I mean, I have to model that behavior too.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about the team dynamics since this pandemic hit, because we've all seen all of the reports that say that this pandemic has affected women more than men. It has definitely impacted us a lot more. I would love your viewpoint from the leader of a team that you do have more women than you do men on your team. How has it affected your team? And then what have you done to make sure that your team feels valued and that they still have what they need to be successful within that team, especially through collaboration and things like that?
I would say it has affected women a lot. I think it's been really hard, especially with mothers, with people not having childcare now if their kids aren't going to school. And it automatically sort of falls on the mother to become the teacher. I mean, in some cases, I can say I know a lot of fathers that are stepping up and doing the same thing. But, I think that's been really hard. I think couples having to work together and be together all the time at home. Nobody's going to the office. Nobody's going to school. It's like, it's one continuum. I say like every day is like Groundhog Days was my line at the beginning of this. It was like the pages of the calendar are just blowing away. But yeah, I think that's been really, really tough. What we've done specifically is really kind of taking kind of like a 3-prong approach. Like number one, get everybody situated so they can work at home, which most of our team was, with the exception of like our operations team. And actually, our team overseas never worked from home. They always went into the office, and they were really challenged by that because, we have an overseas office in Hong Kong, and they're living. It's not like here in the U.S. They're in a much different living situation. So we managed to figure that out. We put systems in. So systems were a big part of it. We expanded into Microsoft Teams so that we had automatic collaboration, which has been hugely helpful. And then we've tried to like keep everybody motivated as much as possible with, like we did a group cocktail party. There's actually this company here in Chicago that sends you like an infusion. You get a bottle and then they give you like recipes. Like you can decide what you want to put in it. Do you want to put vodka? Do you want to put whatever you're kind of like, I'll send you the link.
Please.
It's so good. And so everybody on this box showed up at their door and they all got to make their little infusion. And then we all had like a cocktail party together on a Friday night, which was so fun. And it was just so good to see everybody. You see each other on the Teams calls and, you see each other on the client calls and the customer calls, but it's not it's not the same. So, and we just had our annual meeting last week and we had a little wine cocktail party after that. So, we try to do enough stuff, and some of us are still going into the office. Like yesterday, I was able to go meet with the product development team, which of course was very fun. And there's many new Mispa products on the horizon. Yay!
We're so getting into products in a few minutes. I'm excited.
Oh, good. We also have a warehouse that we actually ended up sort of being forced to open to fulfill our e-commerce because our third party, our 3PL warehouse, had a worker that tested positive with COVID. And we had so many e-commerce orders waiting to be fulfilled. We were fortunate that we had a space kind of behind our current office space that was available. And we set it up. I mean, this is where I give the team full credit. We were all there packing orders, setting up pallets, doing pick and pack.
Oh, wow.
One person's running to Office Max to buy envelopes. Another person's going to the post office. I mean, we fulfilled, I think, over 500 orders. I know. My daughter was
Wait,
there.
let's talk
My
about that
two
for a
other,
second.
it was
Who
crazy.
are the people fulfilling these orders? Because they're not. This is not their job. So you had a
No.
third party that does all of those things. Who are the
Yeah.
people that are fulfilling these orders? What's their typical
Basically the
job?
team. I mean, it was like our e-commerce coordinator and her two daughters that
Oh
weren't in
wow.
school. It was Mary, our general manager. It was our director of finance. It was our head of supply chain. It was like
Wow.
a full group effort. And even one of our neighbors, like at one point, we had to go figure out a way to get the product into the warehouse. So we sent a truck to this warehouse and they agreed that they would just put the boxes out on the dock and we could pick it up. And then we got the truck came to the new warehouse of ours and we had no way to unload. The way they had loaded it was completely not, we don't have like we weren't set up to be a warehouse. So one of
Oh
our
no.
neighbors lent us his forklift and came and got all the products. I mean,
That's
that's why it's
so
like we're talking
nice.
about empathy. Like there's so
Yes.
many people that like we never even knew these neighbors and they saw us struggling and they saw all these women trying
Trying
to lift these boxes off the
pallets.
truck and he came right over and helped
Oh,
us
I
and I'm like,
love
God
it.
bless you for that. I know.
Look
It
at the
was really cool.
Midwest coming in. I love
Oh,
it.
I know.
Midwesterners are
Those
just so
Midwest
nice.
values.
I lived in
Yeah, it was
Chicago.
good.
It was great.
Yeah,
I
it's a good
love
city.
that. That's a good
Yeah.
story of just like
Yeah.
how, people come together in time of need. And that's,
Yeah.
when I mentor people, that's one of the things I say all the time. I was like, in general, like anyone in business wants to help another person in business because we know how hard it is. And I love that you had someone, and men get bashed all the time these days, but there's some good ones
Yeah.
out there. It's like,
There are many good ones out
like
there.
as a
That's for
woman, I
sure.
am independent. I do not need help from another person except for
Yeah.
when I need help. And I love
Is it
that
when
I love that he saw it and
I know.
didn't just came over and helped. And so
I know.
I love that that still happens. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
I do too.
well,
I
let's
do too.
talk
It's great.
about products. So you are a connoisseur of beauty from a very young age. So I do want to talk a
Mhm.
little bit about why Miss Spa is so amazing. And I know one of the things that you've said, and this is I'll let you say your own quote, but where you talked about you wanted really quality products at a price that normal women can afford. And so I
Yeah.
want to talk about like why was that important to you, and then how did that lead to you creating the types and kinds of products that you have today. And thank you for that. So I was a consumer. I truly before I knew that you own the company, I've purchased your products, and I will say I was
Yeah.
so impressed with the quality that they
Yeah.
are for the price that they are. So I've been a fan and a consumer of you for years. So thank you. But yeah,
That's
share with us
awesome.
a little
Thank
bit
you
about
so
that.
much. We love that. Well,
Absolutely.
I'm a huge quality over quantity person in
Amen.
general. I'd rather have one really nice thing than 85 not so nice things. So, and I think that was definitely a part of it. And I've always, because I've been such like a beauty obsessed person, I have no problem running out and buying the world's most expensive cream, even when I couldn't afford it. I mean, like I'm just a product junkie in general. So, a lot of that was about trying to like, how do I get this $125 cream available and accessible? And how do I take some of these like trends, like serums and stuff like that, sheet masks, that, are typically something that, you want to be able to have access and do something every day if you want to, right? You never know how you're going to feel on a given day or how your skin's going to feel or your body's going to feel. And I feel like if there's something that that you can get and it's at a reasonable price point and it's accessible through either e-commerce or through a retailer, that to me was always kind of the name of the game. And one of the easiest ways to do that, and I knew this from kind of my manufacturing and sourcing background, was eliminate packaging. So with the sheet masks, obviously it was easy because like their delivery system was already in, a pouch. But with some of the other things, it's like, we don't need to have crazy expensive jars. We don't need to have crazy expensive, anything. We can do this really reasonably and still deliver great looking product that's highly efficacious.
I love that. So I started using your serums, and I want to talk about that a little bit because, I mean, I'm getting up there in age, so I have seen and tried to purchase so many serums, and I do want to ask, like, you have good quality serums, and you get more for your money. Like, how do you do that?
I
Like,
know.
what are we wasting our dollars on buying other products, and what makes
I
yours so
know.
good?
And we do not talk enough about this. And we were actually, my president, Lisa Ashcraft, and I were just talking about it today. It's like, how do we get credit for all these different things that we're doing? But number one, I would say we have a wholly owned subsidiary in Asia. And that was from the original model of the company, because all of these big retailers in the United States used to go to Hong Kong. That was like the hub to buy stuff, right? So we were already set up and running there. When we shifted the focus and really just started being really selective about private label, we did, and focused on our own brands, we already had that machine in place and that infrastructure in place. So that was a huge part of it. So we source all of our packaging directly. We're not responsive. We're not relying on a third party. All of our suppliers we work with directly. We don't have to work through any sort of agent or trading, and that eliminates a ton of cost. And that way we can just pass it right on. And then I'll tell you also, when you mentioned the quality, we work with medical grade, really high quality cosmeceutical experts. I mean, when I tell you, we're talking about, doctors, PhD level, chemists, R&D that really, really know what they're doing. And we never buy anything. Like, you'll see a lot of companies kind of just buy stuff off the shelf, right? There's a lot of cosmetic companies and brands that will say, all right, I'm going to source face masks from Korea, but I'm just going to buy what this supplier's already making because it's easy, right? Well, when we started out, we developed a clean beauty ethos long before anybody else had one. We had a list of ingredients that we would never, ever, ever, ever consider putting in our products. And that's almost impossible because it makes it really, really hard. So we've always said, no synthetic fragrances, no this, no that. We had this whole, no artificial dye, no parabens. And we were doing that in 2013 when nobody was talking about clean beauty. So those were sort of like the main, structures that we built the brand on. And that's why it's able to be affordable. And sometimes I feel like we give too much product, like in the case of the serum that you just held up.
It's
But we
huge.
loved those. Isn't that? It's huge.
Like,
But
for
it's
a
also
serum.
designed for body. And I'm like, we can't
Yes.
sell something to someone for their body that's this big,
So I can use this on my face and my body.
Absolutely. The whole premise behind the sculpt range is that it's all about. So we've basically moved from sheet masks. Then we started doing, spot treatments. Then we started doing specific areas like neck and chest. And so sculpt is really designed to treat you from head to toe. And that's what Miss Spa is now. It's head to toe spa results at home.
So one of the things that she has is this LED, what is this thing called?
Yes.
The LED sculpt,
the light therapy
therapy.
tool. Yeah.
It's so neat. I didn't even know about
cool?
this, but you can use the serums with it. And I started doing that.
Yes.
My husband's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Becoming beautiful." Calm down.
I
No,
know.
but I love it
More
because it
beautiful.
more beautiful. But there's different colors for different needs. So like
That's
some are
right.
for brightening. And what's awesome is I'm like getting beauty obsessed the older I get. But I love it because you can use it for what's it called? Like if you've been in the sun a lot, especially like this time of year when you've all been out in the sun, and now you can use this light therapy to help eliminate some of those dark spots. And so I love that the products that you have that kind of explain how to use them, what you need, what it's for, and it's at a price that you can actually afford. So thank you so much.
I love it. Well, we're going to be I'm so glad that you like it and you've been using it. I love using that with the serums too, because you can really feel the effect of it. An LED is so big right now in general, and you're looking at so many products that are out there, and, it's all proven information, that's what's so great. And then we really try to like double down with having the serums available. And we also have the medical grade silicone patches.
Let's talk about those.
Reusable.
I have those right now. I just got them and I'm using them tonight.
So
I'm
good.
so excited. So this was the one that I'm actually this one and this one. There is a neck.
Yep.
There's a
The
neck
neck one is so good.
patch that I was going to put on before this, but I was like, she might think I'm weird. And then there's chest. I'm a side sleeper, and it's so cool. It says like it's your friend for side sleepers. And then I just saw this one too. A lot of women. Let's talk about this one. It's called the body patch, and I
Oh yeah.
see where it is. It looks like. Can they use this
Mhm.
on C-section scars?
Yes. So these are all
Let's talk
medical
about that really
grade.
quickly.
Oh,
Y'all,
it's
see if you have
huge.
had a C section or any major scars,
Yep.
this is a 20 times reusable patch that is
Yep.
medical grade.
They're amazing. And I'm going to tell you, they really work. I mean, I've been using them and testing them through a medical grade. There's actually a company that dermatologists and medical doctors use. Interestingly enough, they're right down the street from the spa. But I looked at them and I thought, we have got to figure out how to do these in a way. Number one, again, it comes back to the value proposition. I wanted to have more and more products that were reusable. And I felt like, if you can get a sheet mask for $4 for a one-time use, why not offer a patch that you can use over and over again? So that's where the premise of Sculpt, but it really helps trap the hydration, and it really helps, especially on your face. Like the one that I sent you that has, so there's a forehead, there's
Yep.
under eye, then there's one that kind of like is your entire mouth, then there's neck. I mean,
This
yeah, they're great.
Smoocher Smooth, I cannot.
Mhm.
That's actually
It's
the area that I
fantastic.
have. I'm so excited to try these. I'm going to do like a
You're going
follow
to
up.
love them.
I think if anyone is watching this video, they 100% trust you because. But when we got on the call, you had these beautiful glasses on, and I was like, "You look like J Lo." And so, we're not going to talk about age, but you did reveal that you have a 16-year-old. So,
Do.
you're older than 20,
Thank
and
you.
you look amazing. So I'm like, I'm going to
Thank
buy
you.
whatever you create because it obviously is working.
Oh,
And I love that. Like, I love that you are a woman-owned company and you are creating products that you're passionate about and you look amazing. So it's kind of like the full package right there. I do want to talk a little bit about kind of the family dynamics that you've had as you've been growing this company because as you mentioned, you have a 16-year-old. But I do want to talk about you traveling to Asia, when you had younger children, because I think so often there's this thing called mom guilt. And I know that every mom has that. I mean, every woman has it just of all the things that we do. But I want to talk how you made decisions on when to go, when to not go. What did your village look like that helped you with your kids so that we can talk about what did your daughters get to see and learn by watching their mother leave them sometimes and create this incredible business, and what has that done for them, right? So that I really want to get
yeah.
into that a little bit because that's a part of your story that I really love and am excited to share.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I traveled a ton. I mean, I was gone every 8 weeks, every couple months in Asia. That's where all of our products were made at the time. We now manufacture in multiple different countries, so that's changed somewhat. I traveled up to being 7 months pregnant. I mean, which I can't even believe. I remember people on the airplane looking at me being like, oh my gosh, this is frightening that she's even flying, which was funny. And, so I was really fortunate though. I had great help. My family is all based here. And, I was able to I had au pairs and various different babysitters, but the kids didn't know any differently. I mean, I guess that's the most important thing. It wasn't like it just started when they were 8. It was before they were even born. I was always on that track. So they knew me as being, kind of the globe-trotting mom who was always on the go. And my biggest thing was like, I'd be gone for a set amount of time. I never would miss holidays or birthdays. I could always work my own schedule, which was great. But when I was home, I was really home. I mean, that's the part that was important. And I know, my daughter would say that now if we were to pop her on the call, um, which I'm sure she would have a whole story to tell. But she's kind of like mini Miss Spa. We always laugh because she's got so many ideas, and she's kind of learned this entire business through me. I mean, she's always been by my side, and she goes out product development shopping with me, and she comes in the office. She was actually fulfilling the e-commerce orders during the early days of COVID. So, she's very linked to it. I mean, there were times definitely that I felt guilty, and bad. But, at the end of the day, it was what I did. And I was it was my job, and I was responsible for the family and responsible for the company. So it was kind of like there was no option. It's not like I had, I could just hire somebody else and have them do the traveling. I was always the one that worked with the suppliers, and I was the one who was on the relationship side of things. So it wasn't, I don't know, to me, it was kind of like I didn't have a choice. And I think sometimes when you don't have a plan B or you don't see any other option available, you don't know what you don't know. So that there was a big piece of that. But I think, gosh, now it's like I travel so much less. I mean, even Asia, I was in Asia in January, and I don't think I had been in, yeah, I know, I was right there. I was there right before all this stuff happened. But, I travel so much less. I tend to do more sort of like Europe now, and really globally. I mean, I go everywhere. That's my inspiration. And I think that's been the hardest part, is like not being able to go places and like see product and go shopping and talk to people, and kind of like, I'm so curious, and I'm so interested in, that whole product side of it, that's been kind of a killer. But yeah.
That's awesome. Now, did you take the miles that you get, and did you ever travel with your family outside of work to say like, oh, this is what that pays? Like, this is why I do
Yeah.
that, so we can go and have those
Yeah.
types of things. Do your kids like to travel?
They love to travel. They're dying right now that they can't go anywhere. I mean, I don't think we've been anywhere
It's
since
hard.
Christmas. Over Christmas last year, we went to Florida, but we're not going to we don't have anything scheduled at this point. We've just been taking little, like, long weekends. My daughter turned 16, so we went and did like a girls' weekend with some of her friends, and that was fun. But they 100% know. I mean, they say to me all the time, we know how hard you work and we know what you do for us. And there's no shortage of them not being 100% aware of that.
I love that. And
Yeah, it's really cool.
so when you look at your children, what are you the most proud of that you see that they've learned from you pursuing really hard your passion, building your business? What is it that you see in them that you're like, I'm so proud of that?
They're both really self-sufficient. They're both really resourceful. They are both very focused and able to kind of hold their own. I would say in the case of my daughter, for sure, very mature, like wise beyond her years, which I always was. I was like kind of born 16 or 18. I don't know. Like I was always sort of, my parents were like, you're an old soul. I'm like, all right, I don't know what that means, but hopefully it's good. But I think that there's, they're both very entrepreneurial. So my daughter has like a clothes account where she sells any clothes, like, and she's rocking it with the clothes account. I mean, they're both very focused on, helping out. They're great. I mean, I think both of them are both really similar in a lot of the same ways. And I know a lot of it has to do with sort of all those values that I've instilled or that they've seen firsthand.
I love that. And so let's talk a little bit about what you are doing now and kind of next. I mean, you've been a business owner for a while and you have mentored a lot of women. So, what is it that you're kind of passionate about when you think of like what you're giving back or what legacy you're leaving? Like, what does that look like? What are you kind of passionate about today for future women?
Well, one of the things that you mentioned of like helping other entrepreneurs, specifically female. So I'm involved with DePaul University with their Women's Entrepreneurial Institute. And I'm actually leading a seminar next week on sales and marketing with some of these
Oh,
women.
cool.
And it's just been really fun. I love mentoring. Nothing makes me happier than helping someone, whether it's like on the product side, because they know I can help them with that, or the design side, or maybe they've got like legal or, financial questions. So I just love to help. That's kind of how I am. And I'm like a huge networker. So anytime I can help, I'll always find somebody who can. And I just believe that there's a whole element of like, paying it forward. I had these amazing women that helped me and amazing guides along the way, which I feel so fortunate. Not necessarily always women. I've had amazing people throughout my career that really helped sort of form, who I am and where I am now. So I don't forget that. I'm a big believer in helping others because I don't want anybody to have to go through the suffering part that I did. If I can like easily make it easy for them, not necessarily easy, but at least eliminate some of the struggle, or some of the roadblocks, what, like to me, it's like, why not? I want to do that. So that's a big part of it.
Thank you. As a woman entrepreneur, I appreciate that. When you think about the struggles that you want to prevent women from going through, I'd love to talk about that a little bit, because I know the things that, like, I've been in sales, and it's like, oh, ask people what keeps them up at night. And I laugh now as a business owner, 'cause I'm like, oh my God, do you want me to make a list? Like, what day?
Yeah, right.
Like, but
what day, right? What time in the morning? 2 a.m. or 3 a.m.?
Exactly. 2 a.m., 4 a.m. Like, before I try to go to bed. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
But what are some of those things that either felt debilitating at the time, or maybe almost made you quit? And what did it look like to either figure out that step or get help or that kind of thing?
I would say always, financing is always tricky. I think that ends up becoming such a hurdle, and just it's such a big problem, especially with women. I mean, there's very unattractive statistics around women-owned businesses and survival rate and percentages, and the amount that even make it over $1 million, right? It's a very, very small percentage. So I think that was one of the things that was really tricky for me, is when I started in business, I had no way to finance anything. I mean, and I can remember walking into a bank and then being like, well, do you have inventory? Well, no. Well, do you have your real estate? No. It's like I had nothing. And I guess the only good thing was that I had good jobs and I had credit, and I financed my business off of credit cards, which is like insane to think that I did that. But whatever, you do what you have to do. There's people that have done a lot worse during COVID. So I was fortunate that I had that. But I'm a big believer in, bootstrapping. At the same time, it's hard. It's really, really hard to try to get enough capital going to be able to start a business and turn it into something real. At a certain point, you have to have help, and it's that whole getting to that point and figuring out what you need. And that to me was probably the biggest struggle. I was fortunate that I was able to start the company and have enough kind of revenue to get things going pretty quickly, but that's not always the case for people, especially service businesses. I have such a different view now because I have so many friends, and specifically women in business, and they don't have a product to sell. They're selling a service, and there's only so much of them that they can sell. And it definitely changes the dynamic.
Oh, absolutely. And I appreciate that. One of the things my business partner is super passionate about is helping women understand the options of financing, and how there's in creative ways to get financing. Because like you said, just it's a lot harder for a woman to get a business loan. And, we do talk a lot, or she and I talk a lot about kind of venture capital, and how that's a sexy way to get money, and you can do it quickly. But such a small percentage of companies actually fit that model. And so what about the rest of them? What about the majority of companies, especially small women business owned companies that are trying to reach $1 million? So I think that's a conversation I'm going to be having a lot more of over the next few years, is just how do we get more women funded? I think that you and I talked about SheEO. It's a company that's trying to reimagine and redesign financing businesses, both getting women capital, but also how to invest into companies that's not this like 2 and 20%. So I love that more of us are having that conversation and putting that focus on there. Well, just a couple more questions for you. Number one, what all products do you have? Where can we find you? And then and where can we find you and connect with you personally?
Awesome. So Miss Spa is available on our missspa.com website, as well as at Ulta, Target, Walgreens, CVS, Kroger, many different retailers across the country. And then our men's line, which is called M Skincare, is available at CVS and Meijer, I think. And then we have a naturals brand that's called Naturally Good for You, that's available at Ulta. So we've got several different brands. All of them are available on our websites, which is great. We've really been focusing on e-commerce a lot. I'm available on LinkedIn. Instagram, wherever. And people reach out to me all the time. It's like I get all sorts of like, I love your products. And I was just actually DMing with a guy who is like a huge lover of our men's skincare products. And it turns out he's in Chicago. So I just sent him
Oh
a
my
message.
gosh.
I'm like, I'm in Chicago too.
How
Thank you so
fun.
much. And I always try to reach out to our fans, whether they're influencers or just customers and just regular people who love the product that reach out. I love that.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you get it a lot because your products are amazing. And I think people are, I mean, honestly, probably a little shocked because they're like, oh my gosh, I can afford this. And then you use it and you're like,
Yeah.
whoa. I will tell you, like, if I can give one, I'm going to buy this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
It's the mask that it's 2 pieces and it's gold. I can't
the
remember.
Gold Hydrogel.
Oh my gosh.
So good. Those are my favorite.
Changed my life. I know everyone does different days of self-care, and I love that you say self-care should be every day. But I love it on Mondays because a lot of times Mondays are really hard. And so Monday nights, I will put on one of your masks and like chill out. Or that's when I start using this, the LED thing. So that's like my Monday night ritual.
Use the LED.
For sure. And then, you've got the sheet masks and then the clay masks. I use both. So they're amazing.
I love it.
And then I do want to ask, how do you define success today in this season of your life?
The first word that would come to mind is freedom. I completely associate success with freedom. And that's been like a big theme recently for me. Even not being able to travel like I'm used to. I think there's something about, and it's freedom from a lot of different things. I don't mean like pure freedom, but really just being able to be free to do what I do best. And having a team that allows me to do that. And I wouldn't have them if we didn't have the success at the companies. So I think that's a huge part of it. Freedom's really important. I think, there's a saying everybody says, you never know who you're really working for. And it's true. You never really know, right? But I like to think that, freedom and having control over my destiny and being able to do the things that I want to do and have people around me that are happy and successful. That's the best thing ever.
I love that, Kate, and I love you. I appreciate you
I
being
love you
on
too.
Her Story
You're
of
so
Success.
sweet.
It's been literally one of the like joys of my life meeting you. You're just one of those women that I knew of you, and then I got to know you, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's even more incredible and amazing. So I hope that
you are too. I love it.
I hope that we have a relationship for a long time because you're amazing, and I'll be a fan forever. So yes, so thank you so much, and I look forward to hosting you again soon. Thanks for joining me. To subscribe, click the circular icon, and to watch the latest episode, click the video on the right. If you listen to podcasts, check out Her Story of Success on your favorite podcast platform. See you next time.